My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, there's a military stalking as I'm uploading the fact that they're stalking with vagina monitors that are not paid. You know how they're paid? By being in my presence. And you know how they're going to be compensated? Federal prison and mental institutions. That's exactly what was dipping behind the building trying to hide, and they're monitoring right now while I'm uploading the video of this stalker, a third-party gang stalker, acting in furtherance of murder, It's not just making fun of them. It's not just laughing at Satan. This is what the entity finances in order to commit murder. That's why they're going to prison. This is a psychopath. This is a demon under a fake moon. That's not the moon. While you're outside in Nebraska somewhere, this is not the same light source. Just like I've shown you the analysis of the fake sun. This is an absolute psychopath that knows that they're being documented. This is refusal to stop stalking. That's how you're analyzing this. And this is put in perspective regarding the threat, the terrorists that are the people of the state, the U.S. military, who are not engaged in what is any sort of military services. They are psychopaths, unhinged stalkers, terrorists that are engaging in kidnapping children, sex trafficking them, engaging in doing so in concert with stalkers just like this. And this is the entity that engaged in kidnapping, criminal summoning, just like this, with these demons that are doing nothing other than gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. The entity is monitoring my device while I'm uploading the evidence of the entity that is stalking, doing so at 12:03 a.m. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct while I'm publishing the video, which he is engaged in monitoring, doing so together while I'm publishing it on the internet. That's a demon. I want you to see a demon manifest. This is a demon manifesting. Now, those that are immigrants, they're being deported. You can see why they're not going to stay in this country.
The women and men who have died for the freedom.
You can see why they're losing custody of your children.
I want everybody to listen.
You see how they're being prosecuted. This is why they're going into mental institutions. This is the P.O.C. Alrighty? This is the military. Understand that. This is the military. This is the Ontario Police Department. Okay, that's P.O.C. This is the entity that's monitoring on my device. It's 12:04 a.m. This is an entity's obsession. This is what you're learning, the facets of obsession. This is impossible light activity. When I tell you that gang stalking is underway, I cannot tell you any lies. Now I show you the demons themselves that are not anymore under any circumstances hidden whatsoever. This is the P.O.C. That's the military that thought that it was any less probative evidence because they did a cartwheel behind the senior center, and it is not. Both videos are equally probative and proof of stalking. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12:04 a.m. All right, this is the entity. This is a matter of what's judicially noticed. This is the entity having not made a takeoff. They're stalking at Wells Fargo. That's what that is. Light activity, relevant positioning. That's pacing at the C Street turn circle. They're driving in opposite directions. They're stalking. Wells Fargo is stalking. Okay? The Ontario Town Square is stalking. They're stalking on the roads and the highways. That's the city of Ontario. That's Paul Leon that is stalking in the city with light activity, funding terrorism. While the city of Ontario, that's the U.S. military, the Ontario International Airport is stalking. They are maintaining the same exact elevation and doing plane after plane after plane. And what you'll see in the images is that the Ontario Police Department, like 9 Nancy Victor Uncle, 926, are stalking on the roads and the highways as well. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and this is the mentor. And this is what they're doing at the library while they are stalking me. That demon that wants to sit next to me, wants to listen to me breathe, wants to breathe in the air that I breathe. This is the same mental illness, the same obsession. This isn't traffic, this is surveillance. All right, that's the P.O.C. They are in impossible light activity. This is license 9S TK873. They are stalking with the military. That's the entity that has not made any sort of takeoff either. Monitoring on their devices. This is psychopathic pacing coming all around, coming as I move. The entity is also engaging in what is stalking on the roads and the highways and further into murder. All right. These are the demons that are engaged in that. That's why they're getting deported. They're being prosecuted as sex offenders who are subject to loss of custody of children, the necessity of martial law. This is the entity, that same obsession. It's not traffic. RGS is gang stalking with Woodside Senior Apartments. That's what I document that. 9XXT427 Woodside Senior Apartments. These are demons that know that they're documented. They're going to prison. All right, this is the mentally ill behavior of those that are obsessed. And while you're obsessed in stalking me, you're being documented, and they engage in more stalking. There's no takeoff. There's no takeoff all the way over here, over the Civic Center, more now over the Wells Fargo, and continuously as I walk what is west. This is the entity that is stalking. The entity's license plates. The entity engaging in what is license 8, Paul, Yolanda, Wendy 035, is stalking. And further into murder with the mentally ill demons that are obsessed with me and my vagina, stalking with the population on the roads and the highways. Okay, that's the P.O.C., the entity that is stalking now as I move, and they are monitoring while they're stalking as I move. Okay, this demon was already engaged in surveillance in a vehicle that was already placed for purposes of stalking in the path. It was on the street. You'll see the image I took of it. No lights on. They are stalking in the path while I am standing here, maintaining what is light activity. This is the P.O.C. For DREAM is stalking with that psychopath that's stalking with light. That's the mentally ill behavior. All right, that's the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:16 a.m. The facilitating venue downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments is stalking. This is how the establishments are being prosecuted while the government's maintaining the people, the state, the environment to engage in surveillance and furtherance of murder. And that is a matter of public corruption. And this is the entity that is stalking with regard to monitoring my device as well. It is federal stalking. It's P.O.C. 6:16 a.m. These are demons that are engaged in gang stalking. So these are the mentally ill. This is why you have the identical behavioral pattern in the supernatural environment and doing so pursuant to obsession with me, a population. They're all stalking individually. They're all stalking as an entity. All right, see? License plate 9FPM306 is stalking with the military. They're doing so pursuant to surveillance on criminal facilitation. License 7ZXM889, while the entity is hovering over the town square, again, doing so pursuant to monitoring me. This is a white male. This is an old white male. He's gang stalking and he's been engaged in surveillance. He turns his vehicle lights on because I remain present. I did not continue walking, so they're maintaining that ongoing light activity, okay? They're inside of the Sarah's Regis Group downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, that parking garage, stalking in the path, and serial stalkers are going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is mental illness. These are demons. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. I want you to see that. That's mental illness. That's the P.O.C. That's audible activity while they're monitoring with the military. That's the pattern of conduct. Thank you. That's the pattern of conduct. This is an Asian male. He's mentally ill. That's a demon. All right? That's the entity that is stalking. He's engaging in conspiracy to murder, criminal facilitation. That's audible activity while he honks the horn. And this is the entity that is engaged in that P.O.C. while they are gang stalking with the police. He's stalking with the police. I documented that. And he's stalking with the military using the commercial planes. And this is a demon that is obsessively stalking me while he's trying to cover up his face while he's gang stalking somebody else in further murder. That's the P.O.C. That's a mentally ill. They're being deported. And they're also going to be put in federal prison. License 9 Frank Paul Mary 306 Wells Fargo, downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. These are the businesses that are being prosecuted while the people of the state are gang stalking. All right, you don't have any privacy. All right, they're monitoring your vagina, and that's a demon. That hostility, that's a stalker. That's hostile because they're being documented for stalking, and the Ontario police are going to prison for it. The U.S. military are going to prison. They're stalking as well. 67266 David 3, 9 Thomas, Nancy Thomas 820. This is the demon that's stalking, right? There's the entity. That's the entity that's going to be put in mental institutions, including the demons in the planes, including the demons calling themselves a police department. They're not. They're on the roads and the highways gang stalking just like these demons. Right? The obsession is shown through the ongoing obsessive stalking. That's not headed to a destination, no takeoff. There's also no destination when you are still hovering and you're miles away from the airport, from the terminals where a takeoff would have been conducted miles ago. They're gang stalking at this construction building right here. I already documented that the license plates, that businesses of those that are monitoring, and that's what he's doing, staring at his device, walking toward in relevant position, and he's monitoring your mail. That's maintaining light activity. They all are. That's the pattern of conduct. That's federal prison. He's a psychopath. All right, that's the P.O.C. All right, United States Postal Service is gang stalking. It's already shown. I've already documented that. They're gang stalking on the roads and the highways. License 9, Charlie, Mary, Nancy 782. They're all harassing together. The one that's actually engaging on behalf of the entity is the one that goes to prison. License plate. Yeah, 9, Charlie, Mary, Nancy 782. United States Postal Service is engaged in gang stalking on the roads and the highways, and they typically don't bear license plates, and that's also something that needs to change with regard to the exposure of their engagement in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder with the military. 7CRX 601. That's the P.O.C. These are demons, okay? And they stalk to where Stater Brothers or to the city of Upland Upper Public Library where they're going to prison. The employees at the library, the employees at the Stater Brothers prison. 8 Nancy George Charlie 121. This is P.O.C. All right, license YP 71673. License 9 Nancy Uncle 682. Stalking on the roads and the highways. There's no plan, and I've been documenting this for years. All right, this is the documentation of the entity that is stalking, and this is where the Ontario police are documented stalking on the roads and the highways, keeping me under surveillance, not engaging law enforcement, and that is, I want to be clear, federal prison for Mike LORENZ. In the city of Upland, it's federal prison regarding Marcelo Blanco, and Darren Goodman is not moving to a different city. He's still subject to federal prison, and by the way, he's gang stalking as the terrorist leader in San Bernardino. This is P.O.C. This is how domestic terrorism being prosecuted. This is Stater Brothers on the roads and the highways. Listening to me document them and then crossing path on the roads and the highways. License 9 Henry 13110, P.O.C. This is the entity that is telling on itself. Okay, the Ontario International Airport, the commercial airline companies, the entity itself reporting that you're not headed to a destination, you're not engaging in any takeoff, and you are obsessively stalking in the path with those that are willing to go to prison for stalking me. Okay, this is obsession, and this is the entity that is mentally ill based on that obsession. The construction company, the city of Ontario, and the demons themselves that are identified by license plates are being. This is the P.O.C. They're going right in here engaging in criminal surveillance in furtherance of murder. Monitoring on their devices, looking fascinated in doing so. That's the P.O.C. All right, it is currently 6:22 a.m. Alrighty, these are demons, third parties, that I'm documenting by license plate. And they're monitoring while the entity is engaging in U-turns and hovering over the intersection, and the entity is engaging in what is harassment while they are documented. In order to protect yourself from an entity that's trying to murder you by stalking you as one. This is the Asian male that's stalking with light activity while the military is doing a U-turn over the street, while the police are stalking on that same street, on the roads and the highways, in other words. These are third parties that are engaging in that pattern of conduct together, and they are doing so under the guise of what is criminal surveillance at a facilitating venue, Vos Church, very heavily documented under the fake sun, sunrise till sunset, 7 UTZ 453. And this is all of that, which is a matter of public corruption. The prosecution of an entity in any city is that which is removing what is a gang stalker who calls themselves a mayor holding that position in any city throughout the state. 9 David Jerry Paul, 924. Of course, Paul Leon is prosecuted by much more than that. Evidence of him profiting from kidnapping as well, and engaging in a conspiracy to murder by gang stalking, including at the Ontario City Hall, where the entity is flying over that City Hall with commercial planes and helicopters and jets, etc., flying even over my head at that City Hall, targeting and engaging in that threatening conduct, which is mentally ill behavior. You have someone that was mentally ill and incompetent in more than one manner because he's a terrorist leader engaging in this criminal system, and also because he is a raving lunatic. He is a maniacal psychopath by virtue of engagement in that pattern of conduct, which the people of the state are engaging in at the City Hall throughout the city of Ontario. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is the entity stalking. As I'm leaving one place, this is exceeding stalking though. Remember, they're monitoring while they're stalking. So you are stalking in the path while you are walking across the street from me. They do that while they are doing so repeatedly in vehicles. They do so while they do so repeatedly in aircraft. They do so while they are in their homes. And it is a matter of what is still the same public corruption while the entity, like you see, the city of Ontario maintains light activity around the perimeter in alignment to me, and does things like I've shown, the fake sun, speaking to the entity that is stalking. This is P.O.C. They're automatically proven as stalkers when they're on the roads and the highways, which is the ability to prosecute an entire venue, every license plate at that location. But American citizens don't have to do that. 5 Larry David Apple 099. That's already conviction. P.O.C. All right, this is C Street in Laurel. P.O.C. That's conspicuous stalking and surveillance. Everybody in this city is being subject to martial law. They're all being federally prosecuted. And those are, moreover, the demons that are always gang stalking at the laundromat, going to get free meals at the gang stalking churches, and they're stalking on the roads and the highways. Those are the same gang stalking bums. P.O.C. is currently, they're going to prison. My body of evidence, every time I'm documenting the life, it's on the record. They're going to federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:26 a.m. It is currently 6:50 a.m. And so the evidence shows that the entity is stalking that psychopathic level of stalking, meaning this is exceeding following someone. This is exceeding stalking because it's not one person following while monitoring as you follow. This is, and remember, they're following with an environment. They're following with activity while they are physically following. Those are demons that are monitoring. The entity is monitoring where you are at the location that I'm headed to, and you are engaging in that, just like I referred to at Vos Church at 303 303 North Euclid Avenue. the entity that was stalking by the construction, the Asian male that's maintaining light activity in front of the Wells Fargo, the demons of the military that are doing U-turns over the street and hovering over that intersection, where I'm documenting the Ontario Police stalking crossing path just like every other stalker. They are not different because they are a department. In fact, they are the department that is leading in stalking. That is the entity that is stalking, like I stated, that Kia at register number 1, who you see stalking in the path, is gang stalking. You hear the entity stalking using the PA system, where they are following to this venue, and everybody inside of the venue is following. Okay, meaning you are stalking in the path, and the entity is doing so while they are engaging in that same surveillance. And the entity is engaging in stalking into the bathroom, monitoring, engaging in that while you hear the loud conversation. This is the entity that is following. This is the tacky employee. She needs to be committed. She's engaged in stalking a lot with another third party that wants to emulate my parents, having a bag, looking like they're homeless. These are the demons that are gang stalking, and she's helping a customer that's gang stalking me as well. This is the P.O.C. These are the ways in which you're looking at obsession. The demons that are gang stalking me want to carry a bag that looks like me, wants to wear all black like me, wants to sit like you see the demons outside stalking at the library last night, sitting next to me, wanting to breathe the air that I breathe, wanting to be, while the entity is engaging what is doing flips at that location. While they're engaged in that pattern of conduct. These are demons that are going to prison. The employees that are gang stalking with the so-called customers, the entity engaged in following me to this venue in planes. And specifically, the entity took what is the location from the Civic Center down specifically what is at at East Street and at Euclid and C Street. And as I continue on C Street and Euclid, I go to C Street and Laurel, and then I am at what is I take what is Laurel to Vesta. That's an alley. That is actually Vesta. It's in between B as in boy and C as in Charlie. And that's where I'm taking pictures of the entity stalking, flying over by planes, the demons maintaining light activity at that intersection, stalking on the roads and the highways with light activity as well while they're monitoring. The entities engage in this through the neighborhood, which are the people of the state gang stalking where they reside, it's facilitating venue. And I've also shown the entity keeping the fake sun over me where these demons are gang stalking in that same neighborhood. The entity is engaging what is stalking in the path and doing so, for example, at 507 West Vesta, 517 West Vesta. The entity doing so at the Bonita and Vesta intersection, literally down the street that I am walking. That's where the entity is stalking by planes. That's the military that's stalking with the city of Ontario, the city that is being federally prosecuted for engaging in levying war with the military in furtherance of murder. This is where the entity is stalking as I am then inside of the Ontario Village Shopping Center. And the people of the state, including serial stalkers that are documented for purposes of being subject to prison, they are engaged in that POC. And so what you are listening to in the background, the employees that are all going to prison gang stalking with a third party, and that's the guys under which you want to be next to me, loudly talking is audible activity, and the engineer light that fills the grocery store where the military is following me to this grocery store. And you're going to be committed when you engage in that pattern of conduct that is broken down and proven with tangible evidence. The entity engages in that with the employees that are demons and the customers that even want to and do not, because you cannot look like me. You are actually homeless because you are a dead, purposeless creature, as opposed to being targeted like myself. And I'm also in this condition, in this circumstance, to prosecute the Nephilim. That's why the Lord God permitted it. It's not because Satan has been victorious in any way. Satan can never emulate, copy me, be like me, not even look like me. Being outside and wearing all black and do whatever it is that I do as I do it, it's never the same, and a demon can never emulate that. But that's nonetheless what you'll see, and that's not a coincidence. Pay attention. These are all iterations of obsession. That is Satan that is obsessed. That's the demon possessed that are obsessed. That's the people of the state who are obsessed, and you're going to be committed with it. So that's what you'll see, and that's what you heard in the background inside of the store, where every employee is going to prison for gang stalking systematically with the military that provides a case against them. And she is literally stalking with a third-party customer that is she's helping by crossing path and creating light activity and audible activity in doing so. And the customer is appearing to be in a substantially similar situation. She's pulling a luggage bag like me, and she's wearing all black. Those are demons. Those are vagina monitors. Okay? That's the people of the state. And they are equally obsessed while you see them stalking me all night long. And so that's what I'm appearing. That's what you see on the G drive. They're all equally obsessed. They're all equally mentally ill. They're all demons. I'm showing you get past that illusion. You're getting past what is the individuality of an entity that wants to also create a hierarchy. Oh, we're different because we make $300,000 a year. We're different because I own a multi-million-dollar company. Oh, I'm different because I have a position in government. They are all vagina monitored. They're all creatures that crawl around on their bellies. They have tentacles in the spirit. They're disgusting. They're demons. And they're being prosecuted for criminal surveillance in the U.S. They are not different at all. That is not my opinion. That's the reality. And moreover, Scripture does speak to, there is no respecter. He is no respecter of persons whatsoever. And that is also proven through this evidence. They're not engaging in the pattern of conduct in any different manner. Whether they're a vagina monitor that's driving a Maserati, or a vagina monitor that's outside wanting to stalk me and sleep on the bench next to where I'm located. They are equally obsessed. That's because of their nature, their condition. All right? They are demons. They are terrorists under the law. This is the P.O.C. Stater Brothers is engaged in terrorism. All right, Stater Brothers, this is under the law. Stater Brothers is stalking. Okay, where you have businesses, the corporate entity stalking, that corporate entity is being federally prosecuted for terrorism and furtherance of murder, the conspiracy to murder. This is the P.O.C. You have a bunch of demons that are sit behind shopping carts, following around, monitoring. All right, which is Stater Brothers' engagement in the pattern of conduct. And it's also known because Stater Brothers is engaged in poisoning me. That's also why all the employees are going to prison. This is P.O.C. It's 6:57 a.m. and it is Wednesday, July 1st, 2026. P.O.C. Okay, this is the fake sun that is over me. That is not in Upland, California, or Oakland, where the people of the state of Upland, California are exposed as engaging in gang stalking. While the military is confirming that, and the pattern of conduct by the people of the state, demons that are employed by the municipality, at the same venue where I'm present in the morning, the city hall where that fake sun is over me. This is how you know what SecTron is doing. SecTron was gang stalking in the morning at the city hall, while the gang stalking geezers, as I referred to them, were stalking at the entrance area. The entities maintaining the fake sun, covering this area with engineer light, which is what it's covered with now, while the fake sun is directly over the venue, and you see the fake sun is still over the venue while I'm standing in front of it. SecTron is engaging in what is using their company as a guise of what is the same exact pattern of conduct. And as I'm speaking to what is duration of time, an angle of analysis, the entity has the fake sun. This is during the 7 a.m. hour. City Hall opens at 7:30 in the morning. It is 1:50 p.m. right now. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, that's over 6 hours. And you also see the entity is not headed to a destination. The entity is migrating in the direction that I'm going. That's why they're not flying over the senior center while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. Like you see Robert gang stalking with the entity stalking by planes, and Securitas gang stalking with UPS, who just hovered over the senior center. That's captured in images moments earlier. SecTron is gang stalking, carrying a gun on their waist, carrying money out of the city hall, which is the guise of the pattern of conduct. City of Ontario, which is the city of Ontario that is gang stalking with the people of the state and corporate entities such as SecTron. Okay, the entity SecTron is similar to Loomis and Brinks that are gang stalking, and this is what I documented last week. The entity is doing so at the venue where the fake sun is rising here when I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library. This is a stalker just coming in the path, walking around. This is what the demon's purpose is to create a shadow activity, monitoring, and this is a third party monitoring with the government. They're stalking in the path while the entity, the military, is telling on everybody, including everyone inside of the Upland Public Library. Not only will the sun not still be at the same address, it's not simultaneously over me as you're looking at it, and at the same time remaining over the demons who are going to prison at the Upland Public Library. This is the P.O.C. This is mentally ill behavior while an entity is stalking you and engaging in what is monitoring, which exceeds stalking. Your mindset is psychopathic when you're monitoring someone. You are demon possessed when you're engaging in that conduct. You are also psychopathic when you're stalking in planes and in helicopters and stalking in a malicious manner and conducting yourself as though that is not the case, because you're maintaining a secret unspoken system, which is what the U.S. government is doing in Ontario. License 1454973, which is prosecuting Paulion. This is criminal expenditures of resources on surveillance. All right, this is P.O.C. These are a bunch of demons, and all they do is pace all around, and that's why the fake sun is here. This is P.O.C. Securitas, she's going to prison. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct, and she is doing so with regard to light activity, okay? That's the significance, and it's also light activity while she's moving under the fake sun, and it's also audible activity. All of the elements of monitoring are met while an entity is stalking under the law. That's what this is. While the U.S. military is engaged in the pattern of conduct, the people of the state are levying war, and this is that entity that's engaging that together as one. This is the fake sun that is over me at 1:52 p.m. during daylight savings time. I do have the entity gang stalking me in March 3rd, 2026, before daylight savings time. You're looking at the pattern of conduct regarding duration of time. In daylight savings time, I'm only conforming to those rules because I'm showing how they are absolutely irrelevant regarding what is the fake sun and the engineered environment where surveillance is underway, meaning criminal activity. All right, this is public corruption, and it's speaking to the illusion regarding the environment and all of the ways in which the system pursuant to surveillance is enabled and facilitated and ceaseless. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:53 p.m. The entity's been engaging in what is monitoring while I've been on YouTube publishing the organizing, in other words, its analysis. It's for purposes of looking at the documentation regarding to corporate entities. And as I'm working online, the entity's monitoring my device. The military is just flying plane after plane after plane, while this psychopath just pace null around with engineer light, doing so while the demons are stalking in the path. So everywhere that I move, they're maintaining means of presence, and that is accomplished while a population is living, working, and traveling under that fake sun, which is the U.S. government's engagement in the pattern of conduct and is levying war under Article 3, Section 3. Paul Leon is being federally prosecuted through this documentation, this investigation published online, and he's going to prison. This is not sunlight that's underneath the covered structure. It's not sunlight while the fake sun's over the up in public library. This is speaking to gang stalking inside of the city hall. This is speaking to what is vagina monitoring inside of the bathroom of the city hall. This is P.O.C. Hello. Alrighty, this is where the entity is tracking my steps. I've already documented inside of the city hall. That evidence is an ongoing investigation. So what I documented via podcast and that ongoing psychopathic pacing inside of the city hall during the 7 a.m. hour, during the 7 and 8 a.m. hour, this is speaking to what was surveillance that I documented. And while it's here over me at after 1:50 in the afternoon, this is ongoing evidence speaking to that indeed is the evidence that is confirmed on the record while that POC is underway. Sex offenders are pacing in and out of bathrooms, keeping my vagina under surveillance pursuant to the pattern of conduct with the U.S. military that are violent sex offenders conspiring murder with the city of Ontario. This demon is communication device in tow, just like the demons. It's the same identical pattern of conduct. Paul Leon is gang stalking and using the government of facilitating venue of the city hall to do so. And this is the shutdown of this government venue. This is the public entity engaging in the pattern of conduct. It is currently 1:55 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is stalking in the past with light activity and audible activity under the fake sun in the restroom of the city hall. It's a private space where the government's engaging in surveillance with the military that's flying over the city hall. Stalking. This is all stalking in the path conduct. So how are you stalking in the path in the library? You are examining the books and sitting at a desk and staring at a computer, whatever is socially appropriate for that type of venue. In the bathroom, you go in and use the bathroom. You stand and loiter in the bathroom. You come into the bathroom, period. And this is the entity that's engaging in presence and activity in that specific environment. Under all circumstances, it is vagina monitoring that the mayor is engaged in and the Ontario City Council is. 1:59 p.m. And where you have the people of the state engaging in the pattern of conduct, the entire entity is. And so this is speaking to knowledge of the entity monitoring in the male restroom, monitoring throughout the building, which is an exceedingly violent sex offense shared by the government, the local government, gang stalking with the U.S. military, stalking all day and all night by helicopter, the entity that's obsessively stalking me, doing so at 12 o'clock, and the entity, the military, the same entity doing cartwheels over that city hall, over that senior center, walks into the bathroom. That's the same entity that is obsessed. That same obsession that you see plainly sitting on the sidewalk next to me is not engaging what is acting like they're engaging in their job as a security guard, as opposed to the true intent and purpose and criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct. Even if you intend to really go and buy ice cream and eat it for your 3-year-old daughter, you're simultaneously stalking in the path and creating activity pursuant to the element of monitoring where the U.S. government is engaging in surveillance and furtherance of murder, and you're being prosecuted for that. The entity is engaging in what is stalking very plainly, as you can see, at 12 o'clock in the morning, and it's also that same criminal stalking under the guise of I'm a security guard, under the guise of I work at the city hall, under the guise of I'm going to the senior center and I'm sitting outside enjoying the weather, reading a book. They're equally engaging in that, while the same exact terrorists are stalking in planes and helicopters over that same exact location under what is a fake sun. That's vagina monitoring, and that is that obsessed stalker following into the bathroom. That's why the fake sun is there. You are indeed following to the bathroom while you know exactly where I'm at and what I'm doing. That's the entity's convenience of working at the city hall and coming in to engage in the vagina monitoring with the U.S. military. It's 2 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that is stalking. So you recall this same car wash, Ontario police, who are stalkers, are monitoring at this car wash by doing the exact same thing under the fake sun during the 10 a.m. hour. And this is in March of 2022. He's going to prison. I approached him right over here, the fake sun over me in the morning. The car watch has been engaged in gang stalking with the city of Ontario, with the military. That's the military, and that's also the Ontario police. And they're all terrorizing and threatening and stalking me and further into murdering me while the military amplifies helicopter activity. They're doing so under the fake sun. That's not the natural environment. 65415 David 4, a demon that went to Pepperdine who's engaged in criminal activity and further into murdering somebody. 9 Jerry Kelly Charlie 048, 50436 Kelly 3, and they're all engaged in that pattern of conduct with the military. 9 George Uncle David 878. They're gang stalking as I'm crossing path. I'm at this bus stop in the morning. I'm also across the street right here at the same Lupe's Auto at 5 in the evening, and the military is doing the exact same thing. I'm at 322 West Holt Boulevard. This is P.O.C. and this is prison. Okay, this is deportation if they're not natural born citizens. They're gang stalking with the military. They're not engaged in a legitimate business, and he's stalking in the path. Okay, license 9 Victor Robert David 519. They're all stalking, and the business is stalking. And the entity is doing so while I'm documenting Omnitrans. I'm documenting the people of the state while I'm walking through the neighborhood. And the entity does not have a son in Upland, California. Okay, Omnitrans is going out of business. I'm going to prosecute them. That's a state actor. They're engaging in surveillance. There's no sun remaining in the window of any bus or any vehicle, except for mine as a matter of what is targeting. All right, this Pepperdine graduate, he's subject to prison. 65415 David 4, that's P.O.C. Ain't going nowhere, and this evidence sitting on the record, and you are going to prison for stalking with the military that just presented evidence of the entity targeting and doing so in further to murder while on the roads and the highways, maintaining a corporate actor where surveillance is underway, and Ontario police are heavily stalking at this venue over the years, okay? And this is also where I have the fake sun setting after 6 p.m. This is the pattern of conduct. You have Ontario police, Ross. He's gang stalking over here in the morning. He's going to prison. There's history right here while the entity is stalking right now by helicopter. These demons are already surrounded with evidence, and this is the pattern of conduct. This is what the entity is doing to me while I'm in Upland, California, by the way. Stalking in helicopter while I'm at the 7-Eleven, while I'm at the Methodist Church on Euclid Avenue. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 2:32 p.m. This is the very clear-cut pattern of conduct. The demon-possessed, the Nephilim that are engaging in the P.O.C. All right, this hefty one that is pacing, but she's not burning any calories. She's gang stalking. She's a demon. 9 Jerry Kelly Charlie 048. This tacky demon's going to prison. Okay, she can get her aerobics on and in a federal cell. Gang stalking with the U.S. military. This is P.O.C. at Holt Boulevard Car Wash. Alrighty, the entity that you are witnessing stalking at and by a helicopter under the fake sun at the Holt Boulevard Car Wash at 322 West Holt is the entity that's engaged in vagina monitoring at the Ontario City Hall, stalking, that is, surveillance in the bathroom, following me to Holt Boulevard and doing so, and that's speaking to the ongoing gang stalking that's underway where Paul Leon is being prosecuted. All right, that's the P.O.C. The entity is doing so with the people of the state right now, documenting gang stalking at Holt and Vine, where the entity has the fake sun in the morning. It is over me right now where demons, not actual Christians, believers in Christ, people who are saved, who are filled with the Holy Spirit, they're filled with demons. They're monitoring at Vos Church. All right, this is the entity at Vine and what is Holt Boulevard. And the entity is hovering, just like they were doing a cartwheel over the City Hall parking lot. That's the entity that is indeed, Paul Leon is a prosecuted sex offender. He is a convicted and exposed closeted psychopath. He's a violent sex offender engaging in vagina monitoring with the military. And he's being removed from office and he's being federally prosecuted for levying war against me in furtherance of murdering me and kidnapping me repeatedly with the Ontario Police Department, who are gang stalking with the military, that are engaging in what is exhibiting severe mental instability and obsession and not refraining from trying to avoid federal prison, which is, again, much too late for that. But this is the entity that's engaged in that. This is speaking to us. I'm going back towards Stater Brothers. Stater Brothers employees, all of them are going to prison. License 79036 Apple 3, stalking with the military. This is a male, bald head, engaging in what is the operation of a vehicle for purposes of light activity under the fake sun. This is the entity that's engaged in that while the military just hovered over the intersection. And this is the entity that's doing so at what is Vine and Holt Boulevard. That's federal prison. And it's also federal prison on the basis of what is facilitation. He's driving a white pickup truck and the business. I'm going to capture that business right now. This is Element Gas Incorporated, hydro testing. California 570778.3474747. This business is going out of, it's not going to be in business. And he is going to prison. All right, that's the P.O.C. 9KRM362 is monitoring with him while he's engaging in, you'll see the fake sun right here over me at L&R Auto Repair, gang stalking. All right, that's the P.O.C. And they're doing so with the military. The entity is engaging in surveillance with regard to all manner of that pattern of conduct. And this is the criminal activity that Paul Leon is engaged in. The Ontario City Council, a corrupt government body, at a venue that is attributed to the government, the Ontario City Hall at 303 East B Street. He is indeed engaged in that government body that's speaking to the entire population in Ontario that are engaged in federal group stalking monitoring, gang stalking. And not only that, that's speaking to a city hall that's full of demons. They're all in there monitoring, all together engaging what is surveillance of my vagina. And this is the reality, that which Paul Leon is not explicitly stating is within the budgets, the criminal expenditures that he makes in order for the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, the municipality itself, the City of Ontario employees, and all of the venues of the City of Ontario, like the museum, the Ontario Town Square, the City Hall itself, the Ontario Senior Center, etc., to maintain and operate, even fund laws where the entity is stating that they're engaging in some sort of interest of the city. It's all serving surveillance. And that is the defunding of that entity that's monitoring my vagina inside of the bathroom of that city hall, which is proven while the entity is stalking me by helicopters and planes as I leave that venue and the fake sun leaves with me. All right, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 2:38 p.m. where the stalking as an entity is putting the mayor in federal prison. All right, that's P.O.C. It is currently, again, like 2:38 p.m., 2:39, and I'm proceeding west on Holt Boulevard, where the entity is flying over the Holt Boulevard and Vine intersection, and not flying over what would be to my right, hovering over, if they were continuing flying over the OVITT Family Community Library location. They're flying what is south of my location while I'm on Holt Boulevard. As I, in other words, migrate south, the stalkers, the U.S. military, that is the Ontario police who are gang stalking with the military, targeting me with the military. But that's why they're engaging in kidnapping and harassing criminals, summoning with the U.S. military, and they're going to prison for that. Just like the demons that are at that Holt Boulevard car wash under a fake sun. They're going to prison, and you can look them up on the internet because they are that evidence, that criminal act in furtherance of murder and psychological torture and threatening me is on the record already, and they're all going to federal prison for it. This is P.O.C. It is 2:39 p.m. This is relevant. What you'll see in my X is addressing the obvious. Jason Isaac Fields is someone that is a puppet of Satan, and someone that's being gang stalked is not interested in what some demon that's engaged in sexual activity with the co-conspirator like Tracy Banks is interested in. I could not care less while the entity is flying, stalking me by helicopters, and while you are sitting on some sort of claim where you are asserting that you're doing something for me. You're not doing anything for me. You're monitoring me. And I'm going to prosecute if Jason Isaac Fields comes into my presence. This is not anyone that's going to transfer over to being a friend. This is not, I actually am. It is totally irrelevant whether he's giving information to the federal government or not. This is included in the evidence because it is evidence against Jason Fields, who represents a threat to me. Someone that's engaging in the pattern of conduct, someone that's aware that the pattern of conduct is underway. For example, I'm aware that someone is being gang stalked. I am not sitting on that information. I am not withholding what is the ability to relieve that terrorism that an American citizen is subject to. Remember, it's not just physically stalking, it's psychological torture, that ongoing sexual abuse, which he is participating in, he's engaging in. This is somebody that's facilitating, enabling it, prolonging it. This is not a hero. This is not a friend. This is not a partner. And this is not someone, I don't care how many people are, for whatever reason, you call yourself, and it's because you are ignorant and you're not a part of what it is that I've been documenting. And you're looking at it from an outside perspective regarding somebody that wants to have sex. He's a pervert. He's a demon. He's a nymphomaniac. And he is not a friend, and he is not going to become one. And I'm remaining subject to this pattern of conduct, and he is staying out of my presence. And if he does come, I'm going to prosecute him. I'm going to document it. I'm putting it on the internet. I'm going to embarrass him like I do every other demon, and he is going to be prosecuted for it. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:41 p.m. The federal government that intends to, at any point, do its job, which is to cease the ability for a federal government to engage in this terrorism while you call yourself investigating the claims of a Jezebel that you all had sex with. This is someone that is not supposed to be included in that, and I made that abundantly clear. If Jason Fields comes around me, is in my presence, it's a threat posed by that same entity, and you should understand that you will be viewed and treated as an enemy where that is permitted. Alrighty, this is the P.O.C. at Stater Brothers under the fake sun. David Quinones and all the rest of them are going to prison while the entity is stalking me by helicopter en route. All right, walking by the venue. The fake sun's directly over the top of my head. The one who is in fact the target. The demon stalking as an employee, 8 David Charlie Henry 28. You hear that ignition starting in the background? That's the stalker. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. And doing so under the fake sun. They are fully aware of the fact that they're going to prison. And the demon possessed who are mentally ill, these are creatures that are possessing people. Those people's brains are turned off. Demons are controlling them. That's not a defense, it's a reality, and it's relevant to behavioral health concerns. They are going to be prosecuted, they're going to prison. Okay, and they will come to their senses, if at all, ever, when they are locked up in prison, because right now I'm dealing with an obsessed and a mentally ill and deranged population of creatures who are all demon possessed. This is the P.O.C. License 9 Henry Bob Nancy 599 included. In the parking lot of Stater Brothers, under the fake sun, which had, while the military following me, stalking in planes and in helicopter. Alrighty, doing so in concert with Paulion, who was the mayor, that is gang stalking right along with this entire population. And he's going to prison. He's going to be treated just like any other toilet cleaning demon. Alright, he's not above anybody. He's a creature. He's a gargoyle. And he's monitoring my vagina. And that's the same analysis for Jason Fields. I want to make sure that that is clear, and that's exactly what I stated in the evidence. This is not about this entity that thinks that they have some sort of basis to be in my presence. Jason Fields does not. He doesn't. All right, he represents a threat, and the entity, in the interest of having sex, in the interest of some future that's not going to happen. I don't need to go anywhere with him. I don't need to receive anything from him. I don't need any information from him. While he was engaging in gay sex rituals with his partners that are stalking me in planes and helicopters, and by the way, from the position of a targeted individual, he is not even one that is trustworthy, and it is not certain that he is still not engaging in that pattern of conduct in the event that somehow I suddenly just lose my mind, somehow I suddenly just turn up. This is somebody that is self-interested. Okay, and that is speaking to all that's relevant to is the fact that it doesn't matter what his intentions are. Mine are to keep that terrorist away from me, period. Where you first engage in gang stalking, you have invested in being permanently blocked, and there's no exception to that. Okay, there's nothing for this demon, for this terrorist, for this thief, for the sex offender to give to me, and I will not be accepting anything from him. So I hope that that's clear. Everyone that's sitting around planning with Jason Fields, you're planning with the wrong person. He will not be somebody that I'm going to accept anything from. So if you're centering things around him, I'm not in a position where I'm going to, out of need and desperation, oh, I need this money, and I'm not doing that. Okay? Satan is going to stay on the outside, and Satan is not going, and that includes Jason Fields. All right, this is somebody that's not genuinely interested, and if you were, you would have engaged in what is coming to the aid of someone who's suffering terrorism years ago. Long time ago, a very long time ago. So this is the entity that's engaging in gang stalking, and it includes Jason Fields as far as this investigation is concerned. And I hope that that's clear, because Jason Isaac Fields is delusional. So those that are cooperating with him, there is no confusion on my part. There's not going to be any confusion in the future. This is not based on information that I still have yet to learn, that I don't know how well he speaks to me, and I don't know how much he feels about. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that. It's absolutely irrelevant. He also feels a way about gay sex, which he partook in. He feels a way about having sex with my mother. He partook in that as well. This is not about forgiveness. This is an investigation, and these are facts. All right? This is somebody that's terrorizing, engaging in terrorism. And then at some point, I would never advise someone that's subject to terrorism as an entity to then consult with or associate with somebody like Jason Fields, who cannot be trusted. And he's not trusted. And moreover, even if he were, even if he became some sort of nun, I have a right to not associate. I don't want anything to do with this closeted homosexual. I really don't. All right. The fact that I'm being gang stalked, you should have known better. It's too bad that you are a gargoyle and you have to gang stalk somebody who survives your death attempts, your murder attempts, in order for you to learn basic things. I'm not interested. All right, that's the P.O.C, and that's what is representing the threat that Jason Isaac feels, is the fact that I'm being stalked in helicopters, which is an absurd level of psychotic and obsessive behavior, which is they're doing in front of the whole world. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that is clear as well. This is the entity that's being prosecuted, the corporate entities that are for analytical purposes. The evidence is organized on my YouTube channel, and that's for purposes of organizing a prosecution as well. And the entity that's sharing in a criminal pattern of conduct that the U.S. military is proving they are all engaging in, and vice versa. Okay, what's absolutely irrelevant is something that's none of Jason's business. Whether I get married, who I get married to, my personal life, all of that which he's been keeping under surveillance as somebody that's obsessed with. I don't care about you being under some spell with some Jezebel that you had no business having sex with in the first place, as somebody that tends to go around sleeping with people's parents. This is absurd, and it is irrelevant. When you are engaging in what is stopping what is domestic terrorism, which is proven through this investigation, you're not talking about all of these tangential, irrelevant subjects, and no American citizen is interested in it. Okay? Now, my being having assistance contingent on associating with some homosexual like him, that's absurd. You're not help anyway. You can stay out, Satan. You can stay away. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:48 p.m. The fake sun over me at what is 739 West Holt Boulevard, where the entity is stalking. And they are roads and the highways. License 85562 Jerry 4. Gang stalking at the liquor store in order to cross path. Gang stalking at the stop sign. This is the entity that's engaging in that. This is the entity that's engaging what is making calls when those actual gang members would hurt him. He's a coward. That's the entity. His license plate is 8 Larry George Berry 669. And there are actual gangsters that are stalking under the fake sun. These are cowards while they gang stalk one person, let alone a woman, as a whole group. All right, that's the P.O.C. That's the likes of Jason Fields. He's a coward. He's a gang stalking organizer. All right, engaging what is organized crime against myself, against women. Pepe's towing is also gang stalking. All righty, that's P.O.C. This is 745 guard. I'm capturing images of that right now. Fake sun right over me. This is the same street where Pepe's Towing is stalking in the morning at the Stater Brothers, which is across the street. Pepe's Towing is engaged in gang stalking with the same military. So this is the co-defendant of the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. The entity is maintaining light activity along the street. And this is an entity that is stalking, having no purpose. The United States, essentially, you're talking about having no purpose. It's a corrupt business. And the whole purpose of this corrupt business is to monitor someone like myself and merely going to do my laundry. And that's what they're spending all of this time and resources on. These large machines, these vehicles, people that are being paid on the job, and all those corporations and those establishments, and that ongoing paid contract with the city that's gangster is serving to monitor me. All right, this is an entity, an enterprise that is well beyond what is due of being shut down and being put out of business and defunded. And that's also the purpose of this investigation, okay? Things that people like Jason Fields are not focused on, okay? This is somebody that's engaging in what is a lifestyle of nymphomania, and thinks that there's some apology that's going to change my mind and make me think that he's qualified or he's even remotely acceptable, and he is not. All right, and it is necessary to include that while I'm documenting this criminal activity. This is exactly why. And anybody with any reasonable basis of not only self-respect, but literally treasuring your life and your rights, where you were gang stalking under any circumstances, which he's entirely guilty. There is not going to be any exception. It's not based on you having a change of heart. It's not based on that. It's based on the person that you targeted. And I don't owe any demon, I don't owe any gang stalker anything. Okay, and Jason Fields isn't getting anything from me. He's getting absolutely nothing other than this public acknowledgement that were he to come into my presence, it will be treated and recognized as a threat. License 5 Henry Yolanda Thomas 172, 8 Zebra Victor Edward. 6-1. This is the spin laundry that the fake sun over me as I arrived. And this is the entity that's talking by helicopter. Spin laundry, this entire venue. This is a threat by the entity that's monitoring with the U.S. military. This is P.O.C. Flying over the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard. Stalking, 6 Frank, Victor Frank, 132. UPS is gang stalking as well, crossing path, and so is Union Pacific. These are modes of amplified audible activity. The entity stalking by helicopter, you'll see that in the images captured. The current time right now where the fake sun is over me at the same village where the Stater Brothers is located, where the entity is flying over the Starbucks right now. Starbucks at San Antonio and Holt Boulevard, 706 West Holt, where the Ontario police are gang stalking at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they're engaging in what is criminal facilitation with the people of the state. 9TGK665, 7NNN29B, 7RZH063, 9YKN 933, I believe. This is the entity that's engaging in surveillance in California. So this is how Walt Disney is able to create movies that are about my life and also not compensating me for it, not engaging with giving me any notice or seeking my consent to do so. While you're looking at the entity, the military, the people of the state, demons also, that are creating Disney movies, creating Hollywood movies, engaging in what is making careers as actors, actresses, and artists, while they're engaging in this surveillance system. And that's the interest of multi-million-dollar airline companies. Alaska Airlines that maintains no flights that would be hovering here, and the sun that would not be here at what is 4:30 p.m. when I'm standing right here at 7 in the afternoon. Also documenting stalking by the Ontario police during the 2 p.m. hour, where I'm present at this same this same shopping plaza, this coin laundry during sunrise, and the entities such as Southwest Airlines is flying over the coin laundry, stalking me under the fake sun in the morning, where the entity is as a population, where Griffith Company is stalking in the parking lot with light activity, where UPS is acting like they're taking off over this parking lot. Amazon Prime is hovering over during the 7 a.m. hour. This is the same El Pollo Loco. Okay, where Carlos is engaging in what is harassing me by referring to me being in the streets. This is how you have demons that are creating Walt Disney movies about my life, and you're engaging in what is this satanic and this corrupt and criminal pattern of conduct. It's a criminal infringement. It's not just a matter of what is civil. It's a matter of what Disney movies, for example, creating them off of my life, which is pursuant to keeping me under surveillance, which is how they have created movies and not ever compensated me, and then engaged in gang stalking me to try to conceal it, to try to keep me as a prisoner for the demons to continue worshiping and monitoring, stealing from me. That's what's behind Uber gang stalking. That's what's behind El Pollo gang stalking. That's what's behind Alaska Airlines gang stalking. That's what's behind the Ontario Police gang stalking. That's what's behind the venues such as Stater Brothers that's under the supernatural phenomenon. That's what's behind reality TV stars like Kim Kardashian stalking me. Not having a genuine aspiration to be an attorney, but monitoring one that is an attorney. She's a gang stalker. She's a demon. All right? She's literally Jezebel. She's engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is what's behind the demons that are swiping light all over the place. They're monitoring, and this is a sharing of information while they're engaging in a surveillance system. And it is the U.S. military's criminal pattern of conduct, the U.S. government, that enforces it. That's why the police are being disbanded. That's why the people are going to federal prison. This is why people like Tracy Banks and Jason Fields will never, they're subject to prison. They're never going to be re-entering my life, though. This is an entity that engaged in what is entrapping you, keeping you a prisoner, because that's what this is, while an entity keeps you under surveillance. And the employees of Stater Brothers, those inside of Starbucks, the demons that are stalking in planes and helicopters, they're going to prison for it. They're going to federal prison for it. All right, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 4:32 p.m. and this is speaking to the entire state of California. Every reality star, every celebrity, every actor, every law enforcement agency, every sheriff's department, every airport are engaging in surveilling me simultaneously. They all know who I am and what I'm stating, and I'm prosecuting them for it. Okay, this is company by company, corporation by corporation, city by city, county by county, and this is the entire state. State by state. This is the U.S. government's federal prosecution. This is P.O.C. It is currently 4:33 p.m. It is 5:02 p.m. Amber is gang stalking at register number 1, just like Kia is this morning. She's gang stalking with the military that's flying right over the entrance of the Stater Brothers as I walk out at 5 p.m. under the fake sun. I've engaged in and documented the same crime scene and the same criminal activity by Amber, who's a co-conspirator of murder. She's not an actual, she's an actual employee, but she's not actually interested in what is being just an employee exercising constitutional rights, a privacy right in doing so. That's why she is under the fake sun, and she's engaging in surveillance with the military that are engaged in stalking me where she works, which is Amber is going to prison. That's the formula for that. She's also gang stalking me with the military by helicopter. I documented that, and I used Amber and Ricky substantially in my video evidence the night that the entity exhibited severe mental instability and continued for a couple of hours flying in circles over this same parking lot under the fake moon in concert with the demons, the same military that are using helicopters and planes. Amber is captured in relevant position. She is going to prison. She is stalking with the entity that is using commercial planes as I walk outside of the entrance under the fake sun. And Amber is an employee under what is the corrupt authority of David Quinones, who is also going to prison. They're inside of the grocery store. I took pictures of nothing other than stalking. As I'm using my device, they're making sure they get in front of me, they walk past me, and the gang stalking customers are helping the employees. So the entity's engaging what is pacing together. It's a cooperative effort, and it's psychopathic. And this is what they're doing with regard to those that are interested in keeping me under surveillance to study me, steal from me, monitoring me, stealing anything that I create. This is what the monitoring system is about. These are a bunch of demons, zombies that are living based on what it is that I'm even thinking of or doing or creative in privacy. In private. 5XNL129. Doing so pursuant to what is a massive surveillance system. That's speaking to a bunch of zombies that are pacing all around me, stalking. Okay, those zombies happen to be also movie producers. They happen to be celebrities. They happen to be celebrities that are engaging in what are entering relationships with people like Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Jason Isaac Fields, those that are associated with me who are exploiting my identity and literally selling it as though you're chattel. This is the entity that's engaged in trafficking. This is what they also do pursuant to children, kidnapping them and traffic them as well. But it is a form of trafficking what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks, what my gang stalking family have engaged in. And there is no information you're giving to the federal government that's going to change the fact that you are engaging in terrorism. Jason Fields is delusional. And after having sex with every celebrity that stole from me and created content, created whatever they made fortune off of, you're not coming around back to be my friend. This is somebody that befriends the devil, and he's staying on that side. This is the reality of that. This is somebody that is engaging in incredible levels of wickedness and doing so with my fake mother, who has together conspired my murder with Jason Fields and the celebrities that he's gang stalking and having sex with and gang stalking with. This is why they're spreading the HIV virus amongst each other. And this is the entity that together defame my character, including Jason Fields. All right. This is the pattern of conduct where I'm subject to this gang stalking. That's why it's occurring even in the grocery store where Amber barely has 2 quarters to rub together to engage in standing next to somebody that's a movie producer. But Amber is serving the greater system where multi-million-dollar company owners are keeping me under surveillance, stealing my ideas, all right, and sacrificing me and targeting me and harassing me in order to conceal that. And gang stalking is not a solution. Gang stalking does not create mental illness. Gang stalking is not a defense in court. And gang stalking and providing any evidence to the federal government that is going to compensate me for this this, which including the federal government is engaging in, is not going to make anybody, including this nymphomaniac, this psychopath and stalker Jason Fields, any sort of friend to me. He is an enemy, just like Amber, that is gang stalking me inside of the Stater Brothers. And that's just the reality. It is currently 5:06 p.m. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is relevant to what needs to be publicly communicated, because Jason Isaac Fields is not, through gang stalking me, going to be reconciled unto me at all. And this is the communication that this demon, this psychopath, has tried to convey while he is still targeting. He's still targeting. This is the P.O.C. Stalking with light. This is an Asian female. I'm going to go ahead and get her picture. All right, doing so, I've already documented this. The entity gang stalking with the military by plane and helicopter, and these demons stalking with light. They're doing the exact same thing, under the exact same circumstances, different face, same P.O.C. All right, license 9VSS954. This is the pattern of conduct, and that's a lesbian that's touching another woman, stalking her and obsessing over her. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. with regard to criminal monitoring. Movie producers, company owners, airline companies, government officials, politicians, your fake family and friends, secret sex partners amongst those that you formerly befriended or related to, they are monitoring you in order to murder you and get away with stealing from you, stealing even your identity, where they are themselves not capable of creating not even a fraction of what you can do absent-mindedly, even unconsciously, the amount of talent that is residing in my pinky. These are demons that engage in sex rituals to try to siphon that out, and they will be subject to what are being committed. If Jason Fields comes around me, this is the evidence speaking to his severe mental instability and an unlawful threat. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently where the entity is gang stalking at the Ontario Village Shopping Center, which I'm going to prosecute the entire shopping center. This is a criminal pattern of conduct, and it is a basis for prosecuting the corporate entity that's engaging in living war with the military that are stalking in these planes and helicopters, and doing so very overtly. This is speaking to the threat that Kim Kardashian poses gang stalking me. And she is fully exposed to a prosecution. Not only that, she's a gang stalking vagina monitor in the state of California. And it's the same with every other demon, including Beyonce, these demons that are monitoring on the internet, these demons that are sitting around salivating over my vagina while they're monitoring with the brokies that go into the library bathrooms and the grocery store bathrooms, gang stalking me. These demons that don't have actual free flows. They're monitoring spirits, and they're engaging in what is, they're demon possessed while they're talking about, they come up with 8 bars off the top of their dome and they don't write anything down. It's because they've got demons on them. And they do so pursuant to monitoring people like me. Okay? This is the entity that's engaged in it. They don't have any talent. That's the Nephilim. The Nephilim is maintaining a whole system with regard to thievery, in other words. All right? And then representing it as their own, as though they're talented, as though they're capable. And if you actually were, then you wouldn't be having gay sex rituals and having sex with kids, which is the federal case that a lot of these celebrities are going to be exposed for. All right? And you have people like Jason Fields having sex with those people. No, he's not coming around me. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and they are obsessed with me, the one that they are all worshiping and stalking, and they are then presenting themselves as one that's being worthy of the compensation that they receive, when all of it is literally infringement. Okay, doing so through supernatural conduct, witchcraft. All right, but this is witchcraft that is recognized because it is proven through tangible evidence. The fake sun is letting you know what reality stars, what movie producers, what actors and actresses, what those that are even in Northern California are fully engaging in its massive surveillance. Violation of privacy, the perpetual sex offense, levying war against an American citizen that is subject to that surveillance system while I'm documenting it in relevant position. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:10 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is all impossible light activity. It's also on the Brinks vehicle. Brinks is creating light activity, monitoring, with these demons that are pacing all around. Impossible light. Pursuant to the P.O.C. and Brinks security, pursuant to keeping me under surveillance, is not coincidentally under a fake sun that's over this same Stater Brothers, this village shopping center in the morning, engaging in what is gang stalking under the fake sun after 5 p.m. They're all sitting in their vehicles, engaging in what is presence for pacing as I walk by. 6 PFC 017. And this Brinks employee is subject to prison for stalking with a weapon on them, engaging in what is targeting me, and using the corporate entity Brinks to do so. This is a federal plate, okay? You see how the fake sun is moving over me? FedEx is over here gang stalking as well. You can juxtapose this with my video documentation of Amazon Prime flying over my head right here as I'm at this location, I believe during the 10 a.m. hour. License is 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning when I have that on the record. License 2933993. You can also juxtapose it with Southwest Airlines gang stalking me at the Coin Laundry on the opposite side of this plaza. Early in the morning, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the fake sun is over me at this venue where Brinks is targeting me. This is the P.O.C. And this is my shadow that's appearing on the wall. Surveillance that Brinks is engaging in. Pursuant to knowledge of me identifying Brinks gang stalking at the Ontario City Hall, which I captured this afternoon, where SecTran is the same industry, gang stalking. All right, this is the P.O.C. Brinks is going to be federally prosecuted. And Brinks is gang stalking with the venue that they go to create the guise of a transaction where all they're doing is engaging in the elements of monitoring. They're doing so in furtherance of murder, and that's a basis to prosecute civilly and criminally Brinks security. This is the P.O.C. The fake sun's moving as I move. This is Bonita, where the military is flying over this housing community in the morning. When I'm present in the morning and the fake sun is rising while I'm at the Stater Brothers, this is where the fake sun is at when you're looking at that illusion. All right, that's the P.O.C. It's vehicle 192230. Brinks security is a gang stalker. It is a terrorist. And they've been engaged in stalking me while you see the entity stalking me by helicopter. Brinks security is engaged in that terrorism. And they're carrying weapons while they do so. All right, that's the corruption of that business. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:14 p.m. at Ontario Village Shopping Center, targeting me in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. License plate 8ESE490. A little brokey. Gang stalking with the rest of these demons. Gang stalking with companies. Gang stalking with the entity that is engaging in keeping American citizens under surveillance like myself, from whom they steal. All right, while they monitor you obsessively. That's what this little brokey is getting. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently 5:14 p.m. All right, Brinks security, the license plate and the driver. This appears to be a bald male, Caucasian or Latino. Nonetheless, a fair skin, maybe olive skin, wearing glasses, and is stalking with the military that amplifies plane activity flying over me under the fake sun. And Brinks security and the state actor operating that vehicle are engaging in repetitious sexual assault and battery, doing so with engineer light while monitoring me. And your Brinks is monitoring and the driver are monitoring and further into murdering me with the military. They are doing so as terrorists, and they are sharing in that massive sex act as in the name of Brinks security, and doing so upon being documented. So Brinks is also engaging in what is retaliation, and that sex offender operating that vehicle engaging in retaliation while he is reported engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is all impossible light activity. So this is Brinks engaging in terrorism and psychological torture, which are multiple bases of recovery. He is driving off and the fake sun remains stationary, and you are aware of my evidence. The fake sun is moving as I move. Brinks security and that operator of that vehicle is targeting me specifically by being at this venue. And it's not a coincidence that I referred to Brinks security in the evidence today. Brinks security shall be federally prosecuted for that, and the operator of that commercial vehicle is going to be federally prosecuted for that. That is psychopathic and sexually perverted, and it is also calculated in furtherance of murder by this entity that is hostile because they don't have permission to monitor me and enforcing my rights. It motivated the U.S. government, and that's the people of the state, to engage in gang stalking and further into murder and trying to defame me and put me in an institution where they would keep me under surveillance. I've shown you the gang stalking court, the gang stalking police departments, the gang stalking sheriff's departments, the gang stalking hospitals, where they're engaging in this. They wanted to engage in that in order to keep me under surveillance there and ultimately take my life when they were done siphoning whatever they thought that they were going to get from, okay? That's the entity that's going to be federally prosecuted. The government is being federally prosecuted for conspiracy to murder with Brinks security. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:21 p.m. Ontario police are stalking. This is where Saldivar is gang stalking 6 o'clock in the morning. This is the same 215 C Street address. This is the fake sun over me at 5:31 p.m. This is representing the department, and they're going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is representative of presence. This is how an entity is engaging in stalking you, even leaving their vehicles around. P.O.C. Left the ignitions on in the vehicles under the fake. All right, where Jay Sandoval is gang stalking me. I documented it. This was in 2025. This is P.O.C. They did the same tactic at the Starbucks at 706 West Holt, where I just documented the fake sun after 5 p.m. This is the Department of Stalkers. Being disbanded, and they're going to prison. They left the ignitions on in all these vehicles while they're stalking. They left the ignitions on all of them. All right, and the entity is engaging with is gang stalking with the people that stayed at 218 C Street. This is the one that's engaging in what is calling them who are stalking. That's why she's going to prison, okay? That's criminal summoning. It's on the record. She's also on the record stalking me by helicopter with this department, with the military. The military that's stalking in commercial planes and doing so pursuant to that pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. It is 5:32 p.m. And this is license plate that I'm referring to. Watch the fake sun move as I move. Remember, St. George Catholic is right over here where the entity stalked me by helicopter in the morning. It's right. This is the same street. This is Palm. License 9PZF06. The Ontario Bandit, they're a bunch of stalkers. And this is not effective for what they intend to. This is not going to permit celebrities and movie producers to keep me under surveillance. They're getting locked up. They're going to prison for conspiring my murder and engaging in kidnapping in order to enable this ongoing monitoring to continue. Where they are financed by these celebrities, by these company owners that tried to sacrifice me, and they've sacrificed themselves. The Ontario police are demons also, you need to know that. But this corrupt police department is being shut down and defunded, and they're going to compensate me, and they are going to prison. I just documented all these vehicles representing criminal presence. It is stalking. Every gang stalking police officer is going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right. It is currently, by the way, 5:33 p.m. This is documentation of the people of the state that are stalking as well. P.O.C. All right, this is what the military's been doing repeatedly since returning back to the library, stalking. This is what the entity's doing with the Ontario police, who were gang stalking at 215 C Street off of Euclid, not the 215 EC Street, the library. It's off of across the street from the U.S.C Church, the chiropractic office off of Laurel. Ontario police were stalking with the military, who are doing flips and U-turns in the sky where the fake sun set at the same location where I'm documenting the sunrise, at the same location where the fake sun is over the Ontario City Hall, which is right here, where engineered light is covering the venue, speaking to surveillance underway by demons. First of all. Second of all, these are state actors that are stalking with the military, maintaining gang stalking flights, all right? Stalking with the people of the state who are pacing in the same environment. This is, you'll see in the images, the podcast is published right now as of what is 7:32 p.m. is the current time, and the fake sun is shining on the side of Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, which is a gang stalking corporation, the Wells Fargo, which is a gang stalking corporation, the gang stalking apartment complexes, the entity that is gang stalking on the roads and the highways, as I'm prosecuting the public entity that is stalking me with the companies like Amazon Prime, UPS, Brink Security, Stater Brothers, the Ontario Village Shopping Center. This is where the entity is stalking by planes, okay? Doing so with a bunch of demons that are minor children, gang stalking with their parents. With the gang stalking law school, College of Laverne, University of Law. All right, the entities as a population maintaining criminal presence in the path, monitoring together. And that's relevant to the entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct. As I'm showing you at nightfall, where they're stalking me right here, obsessing. This is the same. That was another plane right now that the military just flew. Those are demons engaging in cycling, flying at varying elevations. That's not the plane. The entity is stalking with another plane, and that's another plane at a higher elevation. This is ongoing surveillance that the entity is maintaining. They're all stalking me, all of them. These are demons. All right, this is speaking to that comprehensive system, that obsessive psychopathic system. And the more that I expose them, the more names that I drop, the more celebrities that I mention, the more things that I expose, the more psychotic, the more obsessive they become, the more of them, the closer they want to be to me, the more flights, the louder the audible activity, the more police officers are stalking, like what you saw the Ontario police do. They all left their ignitions of those vehicles running, and there's no person sitting in the car. Those are a bunch of losers. They're stalkers. All right, and since they are stalking, that's why that department is being shut down. And the entity that is gang stalking, I want to be clear, every celebrity, every politician, this is an entity that's going to compensate for levying war against me, for trying to kill me, because you want to be able to create what are songs and movies, a bunch of garbage that's not true art, and claim that it's yours, and it wasn't even your idea. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in monitoring. They're monitoring spirits. Okay, that's what's stalking. This is demonic activity. It is currently 7:34 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, Omnitrans is engaged in vagina monitoring, doing so at OVITT Family Community Library. Upon my exit of the senior center, just like at the Stater Brothers, the entity is stalking by plane, amplifying plane activity over the venue. License 8, Apple Xavier Sam 080 is stalking with Omnitrans. That's in front of the OVITT Family Community Library. That's a female, license 8 Apple Xavier Sam 408. They're pacing in and out. Remember, the venue itself is a means of stalking in the path. And this is a male who's monitoring my vagina and doing so with the Omni Access vehicle. He's in operation of his device. He's studying his device. The military flies over the senior center as I walk out simultaneously. That's exactly what I captured on video while the entity is stalking while I'm inside of the Stater Brothers and monitoring with the military in sync with each other under that fake sun. Omnitrans license plate 1536839 is engaged in federal stalking and monitoring and furtherance of murder. Omnitrans, the corporation. This is a state actor, however. This is the county that's engaged in surveillance on the roads and the highways using the transit lines, and they're stalking in the path with the light activity. So they're engaging in the mentally ill behavior, just like you saw the city of Ontario with the light activity in front of the city hall under the fake sun, just like you saw Brink Security under the fake sun stalking with light activity. This is what Omnitrans is engaging in. It's criminal facilitation, and it is a basis of prison. This is the African American male that's gang stalking. Again, that's license plate. This is Omnitrans engaging in the sex offense 1536839. A specific criminal sex act, because gang stalking is a sex offense. License plate monitoring with Omnitrans is the demons that are stalking in the path with light activity at the C Street turn circle. I'm going to document them. It's criminal facilitation. The entity is stalking by helicopter as well, doing so at the 150 East HOLT. This African American male is monitoring with the military. P.O.C. That's federal prison, by the way. The entity is engaged in that. That's exactly what I documented while I was on Holt Boulevard. You'll see the helicopter as I captured, and also the entity flew right over me by helicopter, but also while I'm walking back, the entity is stalking by helicopter as I captured the entity stalking by planes while I'm walking on Holt Boulevard. This is, again, Omnitrans that's engaging in what is targeting me in furtherance of murder, not a legitimate transit line, and they are also a threat to the public while engaging in the surveillance system with the military. License, again, 1536839. Omnitrans is being federally prosecuted for monitoring me, targeting me for years, which is a matter of tangible evidence. They're doing so with minor children. They're doing so with the military. They're doing so with the Ontario Police Department. They've been doing so, as I've been documenting, for with every law enforcement agency: Fontana, Chino, Pomona, Rialto. And this African American male is stalking right now with the military using Southwest Airlines planes. And again, they're monitoring with OVITT Family Community Library. Mickey is stalking. She's in an office on the side of the aisle. She's crossing path, gang stalking. She's going to prison. And Omnitrans went out of its way to participate in the pattern of conduct. Okay, the employees at OVITT are going to prison, and this demon is going to federal prison. He's gang stalking. He's monitoring my vagina, and so is Omnitrans. That's P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7:53 p.m. That's terrorism that is engaging.